Folks, I'm going live. Gotta make sure I'm in frame. There we go. There we go. Dive right in. Go. Find ourselves in Principle 43. Become a leader worth following. The most dangerous leadership myth is that leaders are born, but there is a genetic factor to leadership. That's nonsense. In fact, the opposite is true. Leaders are made rather than born. Hello, August. And I had a contrary claim today that people have natural leadership ability. Anyway, the person who the quote belongs to is Warren Bennis, founding chairman of the Leadership Institute at the University of Southern California. I think it's an interesting dichotomy. Are leaders made? Are they born? I think it's a bit of both, honestly. Whether you own a business, teach a school, manage a small group, coach an athletic team, or working to advance a worthwhile cause, you need to enroll others in order to achieve the success you want. It not only requires you to hold a vision of what success is, it also requires you to practice leadership skills that will inspire others to want to help you reach that goal. Because our success often requires the help of others, successful people, not surprisingly, are also successful leaders. Yes, you need people who will follow you to be a leader. That's true. They know how to communicate their vision in exciting and compelling terms. They master the skill of motivating others to jump on board with full commitment. They recognize potential in their people, coach their team members to go above and beyond, and routinely acknowledge others' positive contribution. While great leaders must demand accountability from the people they lead, they also hold themselves accountable for their contribution to the result. In the process of leading, great leaders also transform their followers. They stimulate and inspire others to deliver extraordinary outcomes. Of course, they also help these followers develop and grow into leaders themselves. That's the true definition of great leadership. Exceptional leaders aren't born that way. They become exceptional by developing a unique set of attitudes and skills that are both learnable and teachable. Why become a leader? Bigger paycheck, for one. I'm just kidding. That was a quick aside. But it's true. Anyway, becoming a leader gives you the opportunity to magnify your impact in the world. It also allows you to leverage the hearts and actions of others toward the achievement of goals and objectives that you care about. It allows you to produce bigger results faster than you could ever do on your own. While we're not all destined to become leaders on a level with John F. Kennedy, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, or Mother Teresa, we can all learn to develop our leadership skills for positive impact in our organizations and our local communities. In fact, knowing how to be an effective leader will make you more successful in any role. Whether you are climbing the corporate ladder, building a network marketing downline, working as a social change agent, coaching a little league team, volunteering for a civic group, or simply organizing a church event. Let's take a look at some of the basics of becoming the kind of leader whom people will want to work with and follow, and the kind of leader that people would follow voluntarily, even if you had no title or position. That was Brian Tracy, author of Maximum Achievement and the Ultimate Success Guide. Behavior number 1, know your own strengths and weaknesses. One of the most distinguishing qualities of great leaders is their dedication to understanding themselves. When you have a clear sense of who you are, your strengths and weaknesses, and how the impact your behavior has on others, your ability to lead others will improve. There's a small footnote here. Kathleen Seeley is the leadership expert I consulted in developing this chapter. She trains many of the most forward-thinking companies in the world, and she is dedicated to helping leaders design sustainable, values-driven cultures. She is an executive coach, motivational speaker, and associate faculty member in the school leadership at Royal Roads University in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. For one thing, self-awareness lets you be realistic about your ability to contribute or detract from the outcome of a project. If you know you're not the best graphic designer, for example, why impose your ideas on the company's brochure or website, especially when you could easily empower and rely on others to do this job better than you? Or if keeping your people accountable to meeting deadlines seems a constant headache, especially on top of your own duties, why not put systems in place that do the follow up and reporting for you, such as weekly accountability meetings, project management software, calendar reminders, and more? And if you are shy, introverted, or downright fearful about negotiating anything, why not delegate that to people who love the game of bargaining for a great deal? In fact, just as there are things you hate to do or aren't good at, there are people who love these tasks and are good at them because it's their passion. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses gives you the ability to discern when your skills will add value or not, and keeps you open to delegating and listening to people with other points of view. Not only does this allow lots of creative ideas to emerge from your team, it simply makes you work easier because you'll never have to struggle with tasks you shouldn't be doing in the first place. Knowing your own strengths and weaknesses also helps you keep your emotions in check during times of intense pressure or crisis. Self awareness ensures you won't get swept away in the emotion of a situation. Rather, you'll be able to respond with clear, compassionate, and fearless action. By remaining calm, you'll also create a sense of safety for others, especially in times of crisis or rapid change. All good leaders possess a heightened sense of awareness, an ability to read situations in which they find themselves and act accordingly. Great leaders take this one step further. They are not only aware, they are also self aware. As Les McKeown, author of Predictable Success, getting your organization on the growth track and keeping it there. Hello, Grace. Of course, the key to being self aware as a leader is your willingness to be wrong, to not know everything, to recognize that you have certain biases, and to see where your opinions may be simply getting in the way. No one has all the answers, and great leaders admit there is always plenty to learn. They also listen to feedback. In fact, great leaders know that when you're willing to admit to your own mistakes and genuinely listen to critical feedback, without rationalizing, justifying, or placing blame, you get to turn these moments into learning opportunities for yourself and teachable moments for your team. Instead of battles, you create a more open and collaborative culture among your team members, without the pressure or fear of anyone pretending to know it all. Kind of authenticity and transparency ultimately gives others permission to be open about their weaknesses, fears, and learning needs too. No one will misrepresent their abilities to you once you set a standard for openness. Behavior number 2, hold yourself accountable and others too. Essential to your success in leading others is a commitment to taking 100% responsibility for your own actions and results. When you consistently follow through on your own commitments, you begin to build others' trust in your leadership. To be trusted, you must be reliable, punctual, a person who keeps your agreements. You arrive at meetings on time. You deliver your part of projects completed and on deadline. You abide by promises made to your team members and others. Do you react in the same steady manner to every crisis? Do you soberly consider new opportunities in light of your goals the team is already working on? There are hallmarks of a leader who is responsible and consistent versus one who is perpetually late, unprepared, emotional, or continually led astray by the latest fad. Of course, no one is perfect, including leaders, but while perfection might be desirable, consistency will be far more impactful because it builds integrity and reliability with your team. It makes you a trustworthy leader. Naturally, there will be times when you fall short on your promises or unable to keep an agreement. In such cases, acknowledge your shortcomings to the team members involved and make plans to fix the problem, a move which will help you grow in integrity as a leader. On off topic, get back to with the topic at hand. Taking 100% responsibility also extends to situations that do not turn out as planned, but that were under your control. In such cases, don't blame others for disappointing outcomes that you were in charge of or could have prevented. Instead, be accountable. Reflect, learn, and adjust your behavior so you take responsibility for what happens next. If you blame others for missed targets or other failures of leadership, you will not only damage the trust of your team, you'll substantially reduce your personal power. Common cure also, sometimes it's smooth sailing. Sometimes it gets rough and stormy, and sometimes you sink to the bottom with your crew. That's why it's called leadership. In addition to taking responsibility for your part of bad outcomes, you must have the courage to hold others accountable for their actions and results. Accountability is a major factor in whether people feel empowered, perform effectively, take initiative, and act responsibly. But when people on your team are not creating the results you want, you must have the courage to confront what isn't working and engage the people involved in what can be a difficult and uncomfortable conversation about accountability and getting back on track with the goal. Don't shy away from these difficult conversations. Instead, have the courage to hold people accountable for their results. Behavior number 3, inspire your team with a clear, compelling, continuous vision. The very essence of leadership is that you have to have a vision. It's got to be a vision you articulate clearly and forcefully on every occasion. Can't blow an uncertain trumpet. That was Reverend Theodore Hesburgh. I'm saying that right? President Emeritus of the University of Notre Dame. Inspire others to work tirelessly to help accomplish your goal. You must first have a clear and compelling vision of the future. What will you and your team ultimately achieve? Why win? What will everyone gain when the goal is reached? Is it honorable, beneficial, ethical, and uplifting? What's so compelling about it? What else will also be achieved as your team is striving for this major goal? Get other people's buy in. You also need to articulate who your team will become as they learn and grow on the path to achieving your vision. Your team must be able to see themselves in the future as better, smarter, stronger, more valued, more confident. Defining that outcome, plus other benefits people will experience, is an important part of your clear and compelling vision. Secondly, your belief in your vision must be unshakable. That means that you must believe it is not only possible, but also desirable, essential, and inevitable. This kind of belief in your vision is simply a choice. You choose to believe it and then communicate it with certainty. President John F. Kennedy had a vision of the United States putting a man on the moon by the end of the decade, 1970. Nelson Mandela had a vision of South Africa without apartheid. Mahatma Gandhi had a vision of India without British rule achieved with nonviolence. Aung San Suu Kyi, an opposition leader in her home country of Myanmar, Burma, and the winner of the 1991 Nobel Prize for Peace, had a vision of her country governed by a democratically, democratically, I'm having such a hard time with this today. Democratically elected civilian government rather than a military dictatorship. Democratically. Democratically. That's just an annoying word, really. Democratically. In the world of business, Bill Gates had a vision of a personal computer in every home and on every desk. Steve Jobs, creator of the iPod and iTunes, had a vision for revolutionizing the music industry and making it easy to download single songs and put 1,000 songs in your pocket. Sarah Blakely, the billionaire founder of Spanx, she was going door to door selling fax machines in her 20s, had a vision of being the rich owner of Spanx, manufacturing and selling more comfortable and attractive hosiery products for women. Every one of these great leaders communicated their vision with passion and conviction. You too must be able to tell the story of your vision so convincingly that it captures the imagination, hearts, and hands of others. Your words must communicate certainty of the goal. Will carry your team when they lose confidence in themselves and the process. You must also bring to the discussion your own natural passion and enthusiasm for the goal, something that cannot be faked and which is highly contagious. So, Ari? One book that will help you tell powerful, compelling stories, ones that communicate your vision and enroll the people you need to achieve it, is Tell to Win, Connect, Persuade, and Triumph with the Hidden Power of Story by Peter Guber, former president of Sony Pictures Entertainment, whose films have earned 50 Academy Awards nominations and generated more than $3 billion worldwide. Tell to Win, Connect, Persuade, and Triumph with the Hidden Power of Story by Peter Guber, a book published 2011. Not surprisingly, Guber says, the most successful companies and initiatives are built when leaders form personal and emotional connections with employees, partners, customers, volunteers, and suppliers who can help. Stories about your vision, your products, and even yourself produce that deep emotional reaction that is so important in creating a bond with others. Behavior number 4, listen for possibility. Once people are enrolled in the vision, a great leader will listen to his team, not only to hear their thoughts and input, but also to make sure they feel heard. People want to know they make a difference and their insights and opinions matter. When you develop your listening skills, you'll be more present in the moment, you'll be curious to hear other options, be able to truly hear what emerges from a discussion, and you'll be open to a true dialogue with your team instead of simply delivering orders or explaining the game plan. This requires a willingness to be transformed by what you hear. More important, it requires you to shift your focus from listening for the right way or the wrong way to listening for what is possible. I call this listening for possibility. There's no question that our culture rewards great speakers, people who can inspire and command an audience. While being a passionate speaker can be a valuable skill, in the long run, effective listening may be a more valuable skill for leaders. In a meeting, when you're talking, you're merely repeating or reporting what you already know. Nothing new is created. But when you listen intently, you can co-create new approaches, new outcomes, and new benefits from the ideas that you hear. You find yourself formulating a response or improving on someone else's idea while they are speaking. Learn to be patient, stop and truly listen, and let new possibilities emerge. People don't need to be managed, they need to be unleashed. That was Richard Florida, director of the Martin Prosperity Institute at the University of Toronto's Rotman School of Management. One of my early models for effective leadership was Dr. Billy Sharp, president of the W. Clement and Jesse B. Stone Foundation, where I worked when I was 26. I admired his commitment to always be learning, his willingness to listen to the input of others, and his commitment to empower everyone on the staff to do the same. He always asked, "What do you think? What would you do? Why?" I vividly remember one day being asked to sit in on a meeting Dr. Sharp had scheduled with an expert on values. He knew that several of us had read this man's books and were interested in his work. Being only 26 at the time, it was a great thrill to be invited to sit in on a meeting with the president of the foundation and this well-known expert. When the 3-hour meeting was over and everyone else had left the room, I said to Dr. Sharp, "You asked the man question after question for several hours, and you never once talked about your research or the work we are doing here at the foundation. How come?" He answered, "I already know what I know. I wanted to learn what he knew." This was a pivotal moment in my learning to be a better leader. It isn't about impressing others with how much I know. Ask more questions. Listen to everybody. Look for underlying themes and patterns. Dr. Sharp taught me that it takes input from a lot of people to see the whole truth of any situation, to value curiosity, to be open to being changed during a dialogue, and to honor and appreciate everybody for their input. Dr. Sharp communicated his belief in our ability to contribute by intently listening to each of our perspectives. He truly cared about our point of view. And because we felt valued, we always tried our best to be worthy of his trust in us, to be worthy of his trust. As a result, he got our best efforts. There's another comment here. While your level of experience is less than ideal, we value your fresh perspective. Only that was all it took. The point of view. Another reason to listen intently is that you'll often hear a story behind a story. That is, people's fears, insecurities, and even judgments. People feel that they are not being heard, or their true concerns are not being addressed. Resentment builds to the point where people can become toxic to the rest of the team. While hearing the real story often takes empathy, an essential leadership skill, you should also listen for tension, disappointment, or indifference. Great leaders address these real problems as quickly as possible, which results in a more committed and more engaged people working on your cause. Behavior number 5, coach others to take a leadership role. The most essential work of the leader is to create more leaders. That was Mary Parker Follett, social worker and pioneer in organizational theory and behavior. As a leader today, you'll face increasing levels of uncertainty and complexity. That's just how the world works. You can't possibly know or control everything. The one way to overcome this is to coach your people to take a leadership role in their part of the project. Instead of simply directing a preset plan, coaching people into action and helping them develop their own leadership skills means not only that you get to share decision making, but also that you build a team of smart, self-confident, and self-directed people who can respond quickly to changing conditions and circumstances. Growing a team of your own top-notch leaders simply makes your life easier. The most useful skill for growing other leaders is coaching. Through deep listening and skillful questioning, you can help others discover their own solutions to problems and opportunities. Instead of being the only person figuring out what to do next, when you use coaching to help others develop their own solutions, you're also helping them to develop their own problem-solving skills. Any leader who has been bombarded with the simplest and most mundane problems to solve, this idea of empowering your people with their own leadership skills will be a relief. So how can you coach your people to become leaders in their own right? Start by asking your people to correctly define the problem. This gets them fully engaged in the process and helps them take ownership of the problem as one they need to solve. Studies show that once a problem or challenge is theirs, it'll be solved more efficiently and stay solved longer if you allow the team to create the solution. You provide direction only when they have reached the limits of their experience or training. Give people the tools and information they need to solve problems, and let them stretch. One example of a series of coaching questions I often use with my people is sometimes something I call the difficult or troubling situation exercise. Find the exercise in my book, Coaching for Breakthrough Success, Proven Technologies for Making Impossible Dreams Possible by Jack Canfield and Dr. Peter Chi. Number 1, what is a difficult or troubling situation you're dealing with? Number 2, are you creating or allowing it to happen? Number 3, what are you pretending not to know? Number 4, what is the payoff for keeping it like it is? Number 5, what would you rather be experiencing? Number 6, what actions will you take to create that? Number 7, by when will you take that action? Here's an example of what this series of questions might produce. What is a difficult or troubling situation you are dealing with? Everyone seems to always come late to meetings I run. Number 2, are you creating or allowing it to happen? I've not made it clear that it is important to start on time. I usually wait for the people who are late to arrive so that the people who are there on time don't see any reason to be on time, and so they start coming late too. Number 3, what are you pretending not to know? That people are not going to take the starting time seriously if I don't. Number 4, what is the payoff for keeping it like it is? I don't have to confront anyone about being late. I get to complain about how it is their fault. Number 5, what would you rather be experiencing? Getting the meeting starting on time with a lot of positive energy. Number 6, what actions will you take to create that? I'll send a memo stating that from now on we will start on time. I find a way to reward people for being on time by showing a funny video from YouTube, maybe having a drawing for a $50 bill right at the beginning of the meeting for anyone who's on time. Make it fun and exciting to show up on time. No, I don't know why you'd have to bribe people, but okay. When will you take that action? I'll write the memo today and have a drawing for the $50 bill at the next meeting. I haven't had guests in a while, and I sometimes break it down because last time I had a guest here, they derailed basically the entire life. He was ranting and raving about how he didn't read books like it was not something I want to have to deal with as I'm trying to get through the chapter. But please understand, it's not that I don't want the help or the second voice or the second opinion. It's just that I need to stay focused and I need to get this finished. And then maybe when I have a different segment or a different series, one that's more like unstructured, less structured, and more open, like a just chatting, or one where I'm just like chatting with my fans, just talking to you all, then by all means, I can have other guests on here and we can have like 2 or 3 people at the same time doing the live. Like, I don't mind that at all, but it has to be the right format. That's the only thing. Okay, speaking of which, let's finish this out. This is just one example of the kind of question that gets people to take more responsibility for how they've created or allowed an unsatisfactory situation, how they create more of what they want. Ken Blanchard, author of The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey. 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey by Kenneth Blanchard, William Onken Jr., and Hal Burrows, 1989 was published, writes that leaders often become overwhelmed by monkeys on their back. That is, projects and problems that don't belong to them. When a team member comes to you with a problem and you agree to do something about it, the monkey's off their back and onto yours. You've suddenly taken ownership of the problem. Don't let this be your outcome. Coach your people to develop their own problem solving and leadership skills instead, and let them solve more problems, thereby creating more time and space for you to focus on what you need to do to accomplish your vision. Behavior number 6, maintain an attitude of gratitude. Whether you are leading a team of executives, athletes, community volunteers, school parents, or family game night, everyone needs to be acknowledged for what they do and who they are. Practicing gratitude and acknowledging others is the easiest way for a leader to build trust, enthusiasm, and commitment in those around you. Numerous studies indicate that 80% of employees report that they are motivated to work harder when their employer shows appreciation for their work, while only 17% of people feel they are appreciated enough by their boss. And more than 50% of people would stay longer at their job if they felt more appreciation from their manager or boss. Whether or not you feel you're too busy, too uncomfortable, or too underappreciated or unappreciated yourself, you need to schedule time and build in systems and rituals to appreciate people more often and more consistently. See Principle 53, Practice Uncommon Appreciation, for details on how to more effectively appreciate people both at home and at work. Developing an attitude of gratitude, appreciating the people you lead, returns tremendous benefits. Scientists are now documenting the health benefits from practicing gratitude and finding that those who consistently acknowledge and thank others have lower levels of stress, are more optimistic, and are less frequently drawn into anger, bitterness, and frustration. Gratitude and appreciation improves mood, makes you feel lighter, and helps you experience less stress. Simply cannot hold negative and positive emotions at the same time. Those around you will enjoy the same positive benefits, resulting in increased motivation, more involvement, and greater commitment to your project or cause. So don't underestimate the power of a simple thank you in every part of your life, be it at the dinner table or in the boardroom. My friend and co-author of The Power of Focus, Les Hewitt, carries note cards with him at all times, then writes a sentence or two of appreciation or acknowledgement whenever he encounters extraordinary service or meets a valuable new business contact. He even carries postage stamps with him so that his note is often waiting for the new acquaintance upon their return to the office. Begin cultivating your attitude of gratitude, and over time, you'll not only transform your perspective, but you'll also attract other like-minded, optimistic people into your life and your circle of influence. Okay, that was Principle 43, Build Your Success Team. And Principle 44 next time will be create a network of mentors and others who will uplevel you. I already have a great mentor. His name is Mr. Estrada. Easily one of the best teachers on the face of the planet. All right, please remember to support the show. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Donations to Velma Stormer Show. Thank you for any and all support that this show should receive. I'll be back tomorrow with more success principles, so please stay tuned. And have a nice night. Be tight. Have a good night. I've been your host, Stormer Show, signing out, signing off. Thank you again for watching.